Welcome to FedScoop TV and our special series on advancing digital government in the cloud. I'm Wyatt Cash and we're here with Susie Adams, Microsoft Federal CTO. Susie, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Wyatt.
Really appreciate you being here. First, I'd like to explore a little bit of how you envision cloud computing and maybe more specifically platform as a service and infrastructure as a service in enabling federal agencies to do their missions and business better.
Sure. So I think, when I look at where agencies are today, especially some of the larger agencies and the systems they have today, they have a lot of legacy systems out there. And a lot of these legacy systems have been around for quite some time. 30 plus years in some cases. There's data in many different data sources, whether it be an Oracle, a Microsoft, Model 204, a DB2 database. They have mainframe systems, they have COBOL systems, and then they have some more modern apps in there. And when I look at them try to really basically to go through the app rationalization process, what I'm seeing is agencies are really starting to look at which apps are really good targets for lift and shift to infrastructure as a service, which ones are better targets for platform as a service. And I think as they go through this process and they look at their entire portfolio, it's going to enable them to kind of go through that digital transformation and move to the cloud, taking advantage of infrastructure and platform, especially things like microservices, the ability to build and construct these new applications that can then share data sources that have been modernized, right, and rationalized.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think in terms of migrating parts of agencies' operations, their IT operations to the cloud, often it's as much a change management and a cultural issue as it is an IT modernization initiative. And so what steps have you seen working or do you envision agencies need to put in place to support the overall migration of apps and so forth into the cloud?
So I do think there is a cultural challenge in many agencies that I talk with today. Some of that cultural challenge is actually rooted, however, in the policies that are either mandated by OMB or others, right, larger, the federal government as a whole, or by the individual agency. And some of these policies were actually constructed back in the early 2000s, where data and information systems lived behind an agency firewall with a perimeter that consisted of just the agency network, with only a few connections to the internet, say through the trusted internet connection. And so if you look at where we're at today and the challenges that really poses for the adoption of cloud technology, they're fairly complicated, right? Just connecting to the cloud can require many IT professionals to get involved at the agency level to determine if they're actually meeting those policies before they ever even get to look and take advantage of infrastructure or platform as a service solutions in the cloud. And so I think, from a cultural perspective, from a human capital perspective, I would say that training is probably the best. But then I do think that there does need to be some work done on the policies that exist today, and having the policies shift to a place where they can be updated at the pace of innovation moving forward. Right now, they're still stuck really back in the legacy 2000 world.
That's a great point. Well, how do you envision cloud computing services actually helping to advance or transform the services that agencies are delivering to the public?
So the way we used to approach IT modernization in the past was really more of a waterfall approach to modernization, where we'd go in, an agency would put out an RFP, somebody would respond, a 5-year award or a 10-year award would occur, and we'd go through kind of an app-by-app modernization process. And I think as we move forward, what we're going to see is agencies really take a more agile DevOps approach to this, where they're going to start to blend the pace of blend technology change with the pace of innovation that's happening. And I think as we start to see that happen, they're going to start to see the benefits much more quickly than they've done in the past. And so I don't think it'll look I think it'll look very different from traditional IT modernization projects that exist out there today.
And do you see maybe new kinds of services that could be delivered as a result of the cloud?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, if you look at the hyperscale computing capabilities that the cloud really lends to agencies today, never before, in IT history have you had the capability and the capacity that you have from a cloud computing perspective to do things like big data analytics and machine learning, artificial intelligence, and the ability to do, to take advantage of the Internet of Things, right? To be able to look at information and to be able to gather information and then look at it in a more meaningful way, so you can start to see anomalies that exist that humans could never see before. For example, when you use that type of technology for cybersecurity, right, and detection capabilities, to be able to look at anomalies that where before we would only look at net flow data. Now, today, we could look at all sensor information and actually see anomalies that we couldn't see before.
That's a great point. Well, lastly, what one or two things would you change if you could to sort of facilitate a faster adoption to cloud computing, or maybe more importantly, an advance towards digital government?
So I think there's really two major areas I would focus on. One is policies. I think we need to take a more outcomes-based approach to the policies. The two in general would be the trusted internet connection, and really where we're going with the FedRAMP controls. FedRAMP has done a great job as a program management office and as a group to try to move us into the next generation of computing. There are still, however, if you look at the controls, they're very prescriptive on how they're implemented. And I think taking a more outcomes-based approach, what's the risk we're trying to mitigate? And then how can industry actually provide innovative solutions to mitigate that risk? The same goes for trusted internet connection, right? The trusted internet connection was really created in a world where we wanted to restrict an agency's ability to go out and look at the public internet through 2 connections per agency. In the world we live in today, the perimeter really has expanded.
Yes.
It no longer consists of the agency firewalls and the agency network, and so we really need to rethink how we're going to manage and monitor networks in this new environment. And I think a good next step would really be the next version of the trusted internet connection there.
That's a great recommendation, and an important one to keep taking advantage of the different ways that agencies could deliver services.
In the final area that I think that they could actually, where I think they need some help is funding. I think the IT Modernization Act will go a long way to helping agencies move forward. I mean, it does cost money to go through the app rationalization process to get folks in there who can look at the entire big picture and determine the best path forward for an agency using an iterative approach, an agile approach. And then it also takes money to actually move these systems and do that modernization to be able to realize the cost benefits down the line. And so the cost benefits will be significant. However, it's going to take some funding up front to help these agencies actually realize those benefits.
Well, Susie Adams, thank you for sharing some of your insights today. Really appreciate it, and making even some recommendations on ways government could move forward in advancing its digital government approach and taking advantage of the cloud. So thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Great. I'm Wyatt Cash. Thanks for watching FedScoop TV.